Corner,
Very live.
AMEN, so I said that correctly, is nickname for holes 11, 12, 13 at Augusta National. 3-hole stretch, blah, 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 brings... Tell me what it is named after. Oh my God. I freaking
This is a good way to start off the show since we're live, looking up Amen Corner and seeing
you know what?
how to pronounce it.
It's Masters
Happy
today.
Matthews weekend.
We're trying to figure out why it's called Amen Corner. And I just, you know what? It's like whenever you look up a recipe and they have to tell you the history of rice before they just say cook the rice, it's freaking annoying. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Bronx Pinstripe Show. Thanks for joining us live on what platform are we on? YouTube. Thursday mornings, 9 a.m. Eastern for the third week in a row. If you're not already tuned in there and you have the time, go over there, check us out, give us a like, give us a subscribe, maybe comment. I'm not on Twitter anymore, but I do respond to YouTube comments. So if you want to engage with me at all about the Yankees, that's actually the place to do it. Scott, you're wearing the cartoon hat today.
Yeah, the big logo. I know. Yeah. I like it. I like the big logo hat. I cover it up a little bit, just like I used to do with my tall. The frontal when it gets massive. I cover it up a little bit. But you know what? I was trying to find my my BP crew hat that's in the thumbnail because we did the thumbnail last night because we're going live because we got to do things a little out of order, which is cool. But I couldn't find the hat, so here you go. This is what we got.
The beanie cap.
The beanie, which is a prime beanie.
You make those for one of the games in the 2019 playoffs? Was that what you made them for?
I don't remember.
Yes, you did, because I have one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made these too. This is the only one I could find. This was back in the day remember when Savages became Yankees? Yankees became Savages.
Right.
And nobody had a trademark, so everybody started going on it. I got those. I got a whole bunch of those. I should give some away. I got a box of them.
Is that Savage's rant Boone's peak as the Yankees manager, and it's just been downhill ever since?
Yeah, it took the attention off of him managing. So yes,
but that was early still. Was that the 2018 or the 2019 season? The Savage's rant. I think it was the 2019 season. So that was 2019, his second year as manager. First year the team won 100 games. I know they bowed out early in the playoffs, but I don't know that we were necessarily blaming Boone at that point. I think we were still giving Boone benefit of the doubt in a lot of cases because he was a new manager. And then he had the Savages rant, like, rah, rah, everyone, next man up mentality. They had 1,000 injuries, but they all rallied and they still won the division. Yeah, we like Boone. And it's been literally off a cliff ever sinse.
There were a lot of I wouldn't say off a cliff, but they did go to the World Series last year.
Boone,
but,
I'm saying for Boone, it's been off a cliff.
They were, at that point, it was just like, everything was new. He was new. And there were a lot of one-liners that year, Like he was coming straight off of ESPN into the clubhouse. So he was very used to getting that, that viral one-liner clip.
He might've had a writer for all we know.
It's true. He very well might. One of the nerds was actually a writer for his commentary and one-liners. But yeah, that was, I'd say that was peak Boone and should have been, one more year of Girardi maybe so that we could have actually used our talent in the right way. But that's neither here nor there.
I think we've talked about that enough on the history of this show. Yankees split the road trip in Pittsburgh and then Detroit. Still weird, haven't played an American League East team yet, and they're about to play the Giants. So it's just been a very bizarre start to the season as far as schedule goes. Detroit was obviously a playoff team last year. It was miserable weather all week. They had to move the games to daytime because of freezing temperatures. You saw the snow flurries. Like it looked miserable to play out there, so I understand, but at the same time, both teams had to deal with the conditions. Both teams are outdoor northern country weather teams. That's like they should have been equal for both sides, but it just seems like the Yankees were just like, it's a little chilly. I don't want to make contact because I don't want my hands to hurt.
Well, when you go up against the reigning Cy Young as well, who's just sawing bats, and you try to get to him early, but then you realize that once you don't capitalize on a very early opportunity, you're in trouble. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, they had the pitching advantage, except into the last game. And even that one was relatively evenly matched when you see what the results were. Pretty cool to see those two guys who were former high school teammates also dueling it out just on a personal level. I think that's pretty neat. And they actually had like very similar stats at the end. But yeah, man, the Yankees couldn't get anything going. And, we were looking up before this. I had Logan pull some numbers on the left-handed on the Yankees offense against left-handed pitching, because eye test versus nerd test. The eye test says they can't hit left-handed pitching right now because they are down right-handed power that is highly effective outside of Paul Goldschmidt essentially, and I guess you could call power with Volpe early in the season, but
you're just not going to mention Judge
and Judge, obviously. I mean, he's the obvious one. I'm talking about outside of Judge,
right.
And then you have but the numbers really are, like you mentioned this, and you're right. Usually I don't agree with you on the skewed number aspect, but we're such a small sample size. The number is definitely skewed because of what happened to Nestor Cortez on that Saturday of opening weekend. But they're struggling, and I think that's going to be one of those things where if you're not able to hit left-handed pitching outside of Judge and maybe one other guy, like you're going to see Judge not get a lot of opportunities to make an impact on those games. And teams are rolling out left-handed relievers as well against this team. So you have some exposure from early in the season. And I know it's early and bats usually don't get going at this point. So I'm gonna stay off the cliff here and just wait for the offense to take shape.
Yeah, just to talk about those numbers you were referencing, the Yankees against left-handed pitching have a 911 OPS and against right-handed pitching an 807 OPS. Honestly, both numbers are really, really good. Not just are the left-handed stats skewed because of that game against Nestor Cortez where they hit, was it 4 or 5 home runs off of Nestor?
4 in the first inning.
Right, but when you're this early in the season, you're 12 games into the season, and you've had offensive outbursts like they did against the Brewers and against the Pirates in the first 2 games of that series, you're going to just have numbers skewed anyway. So yes, you can look at them like overall the offensive numbers look great. I think there's been very high highs and very low lows, and that's fine. You're going to get that early in the season. I think you can point to other things in the offense and say for cause for concern. And so I wrote down some lineup thoughts here that I want to go through. So Cody Bellinger has missed some time. He had an achy back. This is something we've known with Cody Bellinger. He's an injury guy. He's missed a lot of time in his career, so no surprises there. He also had...
Well, hold on. You said he wasn't an injury guy.
When did I ever say he's not an injury guy?
When you wanted to sign him or trade for him in 2023, was it?
I think I wanted to sign him one offseason. I don't remember the offseason, but I don't think I ever said he wasn't an injury guy.
Okay. I think we disagreed on that, but either way, he's an injury guy.
Oh, for sure. He's an injury guy. Then he had food poisoning. He blamed it on the hotel room service wings.
Yeah. Tough one for that staff. Just
also
getting thrown under the bus.
So the story, Michael Kay said this on the broadcast. He was watching the national championship game in his room, eating wings by himself. Like the guys aren't getting together to watch that game.
You're with the guys all day long. I got no problem with that. You're with everybody all day long. Like these guys are all day forever. Like it's a long season and you're with these guys. I would 100% want to retire back to my room and close the door.
Just house some wings.
House some buffalo wings. Turn my phone off and just have everybody shut up. Like the last thing I want to do is hang out. It's like working all day and then hanging out with your coworkers at night also every day.
But it's the national championship
and you don't get
game.
Weekends. I understand.
That's an event. Okay. Yes. You're not going to just go watch like a regular game. You're not going to go watch some random NBA game or something. But if it's the national championship game, or if it's game 7 of an NBA playoffs or a hockey playoff series, that's something you might want to get together with the boys and watch at a bar or something.
I get it. Did Cody Bellinger have any skin in the game? Because I will say, if it's a large game, if it's a big game and it's my team in there, I don't want to be around a lot of people unless I'm like at the game.
Right.
I don't want to watch it in a group because then I can't think. People are annoying the hell out of me. I just want to concentrate on the game. I want to get my, all of the superstitions that I have accomplished, and I just need to have time for myself.
That reminds me of game 1 of the World Series this past year. The daycare that the kids go to did a parents' night out. So once a month they do, you can leave your kid at daycare. They babysit them at night and the parents can go out. It's from like 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. or something that the kids can stay at the daycare. Yeah. And so the first one ever that they were doing was game 1 of the World Series. And Leanne was like, we should go out to watch the game. I'm like, No. I need to be sitting on my couch. We sent the kids to the daycare for babysitting. Leanne had some her time. I watched the game. If it was any other game, sure, fine. I'll go out and have a good time. Game 1 of the World Series, I'm ass on couch for that.
There's nothing worse than watching a big game like that when you have people who are against your team also and are just like talking shit the whole time. I'm like, you need to stop having words come out of your mouth.
I would prefer shit talking because then I can at least maybe have fun shit talking back. The worst is a casual fan who's just peppering you with questions. It's like, shut up, dude.
I don't, in a game like that, I'm not even trying to talk shit either. I just need to lock in. And
that was not to rehash bad memories, but that was like the game. That was potentially the series right there.
Maybe you should have gone out with the babysitting crew.
Well, getting back to potentially the hotel in Detroit poisoning Cody Bellinger, because you
think Gleyber Torres has something to do with that, don't you?
Well, I was a little sad Gleyber Torres is on the IL, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I know. Well, they have an interesting mix over there too, with even Javi Baez playing all over the place. They're clearly just, there's a mentality over there to whoever wants to play well is going to play. And I don't know, man, like they have pitching, and I know you think nothing of the AL Central, but I think the Detroit Tigers are a team that are going to be getting better and going to be good by the time October comes around.
I just think the American League is down across the board. I think there's a lot of teams bunched together though in the American League. And I think
that's fair.
Even some of the Central teams and the East teams, I think, are bunched together. I think the West is down this year. Just those teams have been gutted a bit, but who knows what happens in the West. But yeah, I mean, until the AL Central proves they're anything more than just regular season frauds, I'm going to continue to think they're regular season frauds.
Okay. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. You're just wait. We could do this podcast for another 70 seasons and Judgment Day of the American League Central will never come.
Okay. All right.
Getting back to my lineup thoughts. So Bellinger's absence, even though he's not been hitting, he's hitting 206 on the season with just the one home run. His absence out of the lineup is pretty noticeable because then you get things like other guys being thrust to the top of the lineup. I know Ben Rice has been good, but Rice was hitting leadoff. He was hitting, did he hit second in one of the games as well? So he's been thrown up there near the top of the lineup. Yes, he has been hitting. He's hitting 306 with over 1,000 OPS, 3 home runs, had the big home run on Wednesday in Detroit to get the Yankees on the board. But just that's not someone you necessarily want hitting at the top of the lineup.
Well, they toyed around with it even last year with him when he wasn't hitting, and you're seeing a guy that Ben Rice. I mean, we've called him the X factor coming into this year. I called him. I don't know if you totally agreed with me.
I don't think he's an X factor,
but right now he is. He was an X factor last night when he took that scoreless game to 2-0 on a big hit. That's a huge hit.
Yeah,
for a guy like that. And yes, he's been hitting early in the season, and it's making you forget a little bit about Stanton and the massive production hole that is not there because he is on the IL. And so far, so good with him. So I think at this point where the Yankees are and what we've seen so far with Boone over the first, how many games have we played? 12 games, that he's tinkering around with the lineup and seeing what is working. And I don't know if anything is more than a matchup
jumps
at this
out to
point.
me.
I think everything's more of a matchup situation at this point, and he's just trying to get the guys going and just see what he can do and pressure test, stress test some of these guys in different situations. And so far, Ben Rice, like he's been very good. He's had really good at bats, and the fact that he brings that power stroke is huge. And I think that if he's able to get some momentum like that, he absolutely could be a thumper in the lineup. And it makes you, again, like look at that DH spot and say, okay, now we have a left-handed bat that can come in here and play and be dependable if he's able to continue this. I know it's only a couple games, but I like what I see from him so far.
Yeah, you can't argue with the numbers. He got off to a hot start when he came up last year, though, and then he struggled once he got more playing time. not saying that's going to happen again, but is what happened last year.
He's getting consistent playing time though. Now that's the difference.
He was getting consistent playing time in the middle of the season last year
when he first came up. But yeah, I don't know. He's coming in. This is a different situation, I think. When you break camp as the DH and the guy who's going to rotate in on first base, and like you have a spot coming in, it's a different mentality, I think, coming in into the season with that type of confidence. So
he is a lefty bat though. Like the numbers are what they are, but I do think this lineup is missing more right-handed power. There's Judge, Goldschmidt, and Volpe. Those are the only 3 out of 9 regulars that are full-time right-handed hitters. They're all hitting right now, which is great. Dominguez and Cabrera are both switch hitters, but both better from the left side. Whether it's Stanton or just another power right-handed bat, I feel is what this lineup is missing right now.
And I think that's where you're looking at what Cashman is trying to address at some point for that third base spot. Because I still think that's going to happen. I still think that Cashman is going to be active with other teams in conversations, and specifically they're going to be looking at that third base spot and specifically a right-handed bat. So I think that's going to come, assuming that the right deal is on the table. But again, it wouldn't even surprise me if it wasn't something that's splashy, but just a consistent right-handed bat, like someone who's just very good from that side.
Well, they actually got production in the Pittsburgh series out of third base because Oswaldo got 3 hits in the game he played, and then Peraza got, I think it was 3 hits in the 2 games 3 total hits in the 2 games he played out of third base. Well, so speaking of Volpe, there's been headlines. I saw a headline, I think it was SI, said Yankees infielder looks poised for first career All-Star appearance. And I'm like, I'm having deja vu because I swear there were the same headlines after 2 weeks last season. I went back and looked at the numbers. 2024, I pulled the numbers through 11 games for Volpe. Yes, he's played 12 games, so I don't have the numbers through 12 games. But through 11 games last season, Volpe was hitting .375 with over 1,000 OPS, 2 home runs, and 6 RBIs. This year, through 11 games, he is hitting .250 with a .917 OPS, 4 home runs, so double the home runs, and 12 RBIs, double the RBIs. He's had power moments. He's hit some big home runs, but the batting average isn't nearly as high. The OPS isn't nearly as high. Last year, I feel like he was going 3 for 4 every night with 2 doubles in the first 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah.
So yes, Volpe has had production, but I wouldn't say he's looked amazing at the plate. And I'd actually say he's not looked as good as he did in the first 2-3 weeks of last season at the plate.
He was on fire when the season
he's
started.
Never looked better.
Exactly. And I mean, he was up there with the leaders of hitting across both leagues when he went through that streak. So the biggest thing is not his high and where his low is going to be. It's a matter of how he can flatten that out and be more consistent across the duration and not have those streaks. So if we could see what he's doing now and we're seeing, him get hot and that batting average starts going up a little bit and he's getting on base a little bit more. And then when he's down, he's taking more walks. He's still hitting the ball the other way and, making positive contributions on the baseball field and not just striking out. That's the evolution of Anthony Volpe. It's not his, to me, it's not his, where is the highest ceiling for him? It's where's that middle ground, and can he stay in that middle ground longer so that, we're getting a more consistent guy throughout the season. That's his big deal. And that's, the evolution of his swing and being able to flatten it out and, again, like making a point to go up the middle, go the other way. That's where he can hopefully find that consistency.
Yeah, and yesterday's game, he went 0 for 3. He did walk once, and he struck out twice. But yeah, it's the consistency. All I'm saying is the point I'm trying to make is, can we just wait for more than 2 weeks to just start calling a guy an all-star or start making judgments on guys? Because it's been 2 seasons of inconsistency with Anthony Volpe. I just want to see some consistency before I start either saying he's never going to do anything or he's going to be an all-star, because he needs to prove it to me.
Yeah, I just want him to be a very good player. If he's an all-star, then that's great. I just want him to be a very good player.
So very good is not all-star. Very good is like just below all-star.
Like, again, 275 is what I'm looking at, higher on base percentage, around 330 plus. Like, give me that all year long, and I'll take it. And whether he makes an all-star team or not, I don't care. He's going to be a very good glove. We know that. And if he's a an above average hitter and stealing some bags and making positive contributions and cutting down those strikeouts, I think there will be very good things for him. And I think if he gets to that spot consistently, I think you will start to see more of a ramp up on where his ceiling is. He just needs to limit the downside. Like that's his big thing. He needs to limit the downside. If he limits the downside, you're going to see him flourish, and you're going to see the numbers. They will be there at the end of the year.
But just use your eyes to watch his at-bats this year. In my opinion, they're similar in quality to what we saw for the bulk of the regular season last year. The difference is he's hit 4 home runs. Is it because of the bat he's using? Maybe, because 2 of them are to the short porch in right field that barely got out, and one of them was right down the left field line. When we were at the game, he hit a 3-run home run that I swear was going to be a foul ball into the stands because it looked like he got jammed, but because the barrel is in the handle, it went out. So like, I'm gonna say 3 of those 4 home runs are torpedo bat aided. So far this year, he's just looked like he did for most of last year, except the bat has pummeled the ball out of the park 3 times.
It'll be interesting to watch the adjustments to guys like him who are taking advantage of that barrel being closer to the hands and seeing less jam shots, because you know damn well what the adjustment is. It's clear as day. It's very simple. The pitchers are going to live on the outside of the plate. And with Anthony Volpe, his problem is that he stretches the outside of that plate sometimes. So if he's not able to really hone in on his ability to control the strike zone and not go after the pitches that the opposing pitcher wants him to swing at, it's going to be a tough adjustment for him, because he's not going to get those balls on the inner half of the plate nearly as much. And like, they're not going to try to jam him. They're going to try to hit the outside of that bat and also get him to expand the zone and see what they can do on the outside of the plate. So it's going to be a different book for him. I think, if he continues to show that inside of the plate is getting more pop off of his bat.
Mm-hmm. The strikeout problem in the lineup, I think, Jazz Chisholm is leading the charge. In my opinion, he's looked the worst out of any of the full-time starters.
36%. It's something very high.
38 before yesterday, and he struck out 2 more times yesterday. So that number is probably pushing 40% strikeout rate versus a career average of 26. And as a team, the Yankees are striking out 9.92 times per game, which ranks 27th in Major League Baseball. The only teams worse than them are Detroit, Miami, Colorado.
Yeah, it's that to me when you're looking at the eye test early in the season, it's the strikeouts. That's they've been a lot of these at bats have been just zero production, and when you have that, you're going to leave a lot of guys on base. And the other side of that is you're not going to get guys on base. So when you're scoring via the home run and you're striking out a ton, it's going to be a lot of blanked frames in the scorecard. So they need to cut down those strikeouts. But I don't know, like the makeup of this team, they're going to strike out. They're going to strike out quite a bit.
But like Jazz is a 26% is not like an amazing strikeout rate. That's pretty average, but he's striking out close to 40%. So yeah, you can say the lineup is going to strike out a lot, but Jazz is striking out nearly twice as much as he should.
And again, you got to look at like what early numbers are, because early numbers are probably skewed towards teams and guys striking out more, getting adjustments. The pitchers have the advantage early in the season for the most part. And, weather is cold. And I think that when you have weather being cold, you just create circumstances that aren't, very good for offensive production. So I think that's part of it, but yeah, they need to cut those strikeouts down. And no, he cannot be at a 40% clip for striking out. Like that's damn near close to what Judge was in 2016 is when he came up.
I just don't think
something like that.
I just don't. What do you think Jazz's approach at the plate is? Like, to me, it's just he goes up and hacks. He's a hacker.
He's got a big swing. Yeah, he definitely swings. He swings hard. He swings hard, and he's got that. And depending on what the situation is, I think if he has an ability or an opportunity to go to right field, he's definitely trying to go to right field into the stands, no doubt.
I just think he needs to clean up his approach a little bit because there's too often he goes up in swing mode, and no matter where the pitch is, curveball in the dirt, fastball down the middle, he's taking a hack at it like he's going to try and hit it 500 feet. And it's just what it leads to is like he's down 0-1 or he's down 0-2 immediately, and then it's just a give up at bat. It's just over.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, I think a lot of this is early in the season stuff for him because since
saw it in the
over,
playoffs with him last year too, though.
but also since coming over, if you look at his cumulative stats, like he's been very good.
They were good in this when he got to the Yankees regular season last year. He was great.
Yeah.
Playoffs not great. So far, regular season not great. I'm not saying he's toast. It's just
no. You're saying he's a non-cold weather guy. He's a warm weather guy.
yeah. I mean, he had the whole full ski mask get up going.
Yeah, looked pretty cool though.
And listen, the weather. I'm not going to pretend to say that these guys should just suck it up and be able to play in 20, like with wind chill, 20-degree temperatures. Like, no, you shouldn't be playing baseball in that kind
snow.
of weather. Right.
Yeah.
So like that is insane. Is if it's high 30s and 40s, like that's the type of weather you're just always going to get in the Northeast in October. Like that's unavoidable.
Definitely. But there is a difference when you're talking about snowing and gearing up for an October 30 or 40 degree weather day with a wind chill that it's just a different vibe. Snowing in Detroit in April.
What do they do about this though? I've seen some talk about the baseball should regulate the schedule to try and prioritize dome and warm weather stadiums early in the first couple weeks of the season, so you don't have Yankees at Detroit. I feel like every single season the Yankees are playing in Detroit in early April and it's freaking miserable. Do you remember that game where Garrett Cole walked like 1,000 people and it was like this 40-degree mist the entire game? Like Detroit in April doesn't seem like a pleasant place to play.
No, it does not. It's Chicago, Detroit at this point in the season, because the wind's kicking in as well, and when it's this cold, again, it's not conducive for the sport of baseball. On the pitcher side, even the pitchers have more of an advantage, I think, at this point. They can keep their hands warmer, and they can the baseball is a little bit more conducive for them to be able to throw it where they want it. I think it's a big disadvantage for the batters.
Well, if you're Carlos Rodon, you just go out there sleeveless, just huffing and puffing, walking the number 8 and 9 batter, and then giving up a 3-run dinger.
Yeah. Maybe you should put some sleeves on.
Maybe put some long sleeves on. Keep your arms and your wrists and your hands a little bit warm, you tool bag.
You don't like him.
No, I do not like him.
Clearly.
But could do you think baseball could do the schedule where Yankees are playing in Florida, Yankees are playing in Texas in the first 2 weeks of the season?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, but I think this is going to be difficult to do that. And also, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't when you get into Florida, because it rains more.
Not in April.
When you're getting into
the Florida teams normally have domes. This year they don't.
Normally, but they do not this year. They're playing at spring training places. So, but yes, indoor facilities for sure. I think you try to maximize that. But again, like then I think it's a very difficult thing to do. I think it's a difficult thing to do, especially when you're moving around so much and everybody's playing everybody. It's a jigsaw puzzle.
So our guy Frank went to the Rays Angels game at Steinbrenner Field yesterday because he's in Tampa for work, I guess. And he sent us a picture of, did you check out this picture with the autographed helmets and how much they're going for? Did you look at that?
I did. I saw that. Yeah.
So
I saw the Ben Rortvet.
You can get a Ben Rortvet autographed helmet for the low price of $350. You can get a Josh Lowe for $500. I mean, I guess he's a name. You can. I'm trying to. Who else is on here?
The team. That's
you can get the entire team for $1,000, or you can pay at least $225 for specific players autographed helmet. I guess if you're going to do it, just go all in, get the entire 2025 Tampa Bay Rays for $1,000, all autographed on a helmet. Or maybe you're a big Benny Biceps fan and you want Ben Rortvet.
Are they doing that so that, like, if 100 people buy the helmet, then everybody's got to sign 100 helmets, or that's not like a starting auction price?
Oh, I just figured these are prints.
Oh, prints? You're always buying a print for $1,000.
Can you get it? Does the guy, if you buy a Ben Rortvet, does Rortvet come out after the game with the magic marker and start signing helmets?
Yes, because they play at a spring training
What if-
location. So yeah, that's exactly what happens down there.
What if this is to raise money for a new stadium?
It's possible. That's why, beginning auction. The problem is you need people to actually bid on them and pay that kind of money for a team of, it's hard to identify signatures in the first place on a lot of teams, but that team could be tough.
We're going to talk about some specifics in the past two series, but first, the baseball regular season is underway, as you know. That means you're going to want to go to some games and search for tickets. Look no further than the Game Time app. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. I've used the Game Time app several times, and I love it. My favorite feature, I especially appreciate the all-in pricing because I hate when you get to checkout on anything you're buying online, when you get to the checkout and then it's $20, $50 more than you anticipated because of bogus fees or shipping costs or whatever it is, I freaking hate that. Just tell me what the total price is going to be before I hit checkout and I'm fine. I've already accepted that's what my price is. And Game Time with the all-in pricing feature does just that. Very much appreciated. The app has so many great features also, including last-minute deals, which are great. If you have flexibility to purchase the tickets on the day of or a day before or anything like that. There's also the lowest price guarantee. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less money, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. I was checking out the app, just curious what the prices for the upcoming homestand versus the Giants are, and there's so many great tickets available for low prices. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code BRONX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code BRONX for $20 off your first purchase. Thank you very much to Game Time. We're also brought to you today by Factor Meals. If you're looking for a great life hack, look no further than Factor. Factor meals ship fully prepared, delicious, and nutritious meals to you each week. It's an easy way to get great tasting and healthy meals with no hassle. Factor meals arrive to your door fresh and fully prepared so you can worry about all the other little things in life other than cooking and cleaning. You store the meals in your fridge for the week. Heating them up takes just 2 minutes. The best part, like I've said, there's no cleanup afterwards. Because Factor meals are also dietitian approved, you can stick to your health goals this year as well. The recent shipment I got of Factor meals, I ordered the Protein Plus meal plan. Very, very tasty, delicious meals. Also, the extra protein is nice, so I'm not hungry later. Like I said, this is a perfect life hack. You can eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/Bronx50off and use code Bronx50off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. Code Bronx50off at factormeals.com/Bronx50off gets you half off plus free shipping on your first box. Again, thank you so much to Factor and Game Time for sponsoring us today.
Real quick before we move on past the offense, like the one thing just want to call out also with Boone, messing with the lineup, I want to give him a little bit of credit on something. The fact that Trent Grisham came out.
We don't do that here.
The fact that Trent Grisham, came out swinging the bat and was good in Pittsburgh, and like the guy just was getting clutch hits. He's hitting home runs. He's driving in. He's doing all the things right, plus the defense that he plays. I totally agreed with him. At this point of the season, you keep him in the lineup. And a lot of times, like a guy like that, does his thing and then exits the lineup. I think at this point, when you're seeing struggle, and the fact that Cody Bellinger was not feeling great with the back, had the chicken wing situation, like obviously helped this decision and made it much easier for him to get some rest and, made you forget the fact that Bellinger was out because Grisham looked like, what we would hope Bellinger would be. He kept him in and to Grisham's credit, he's been obviously he's playing really well. And, if he can give some production as that fourth outfielder like this, I mean, it gives a lot of flexibility for the Yankees, with lineups into the future. So just a good thing there. And I applaud Boone for actually keeping him in the lineup.
For sure. Yeah, he hit the 2 home runs in the Saturday game against Pittsburgh, and then he got the big game-tying hit on Sunday. Yankees weren't able to finish that game off. They had chances in extra innings. Everyone has chances in extra innings. You get a free runner on second base. They couldn't get a hit, but I think it was the 11th inning. They had a runner on second and third with 1 out, and they couldn't plate the guy. It's those sorts of going back to the strikeouts. When you strike out in those moments, it's extremely devastating to your offense in a game. Like, you should be sweeping the Pirates. Like, opening day at PNC Park, You've got fans chanting, sell the team. That team is a freaking mess right now. You've got to sweep that series.
Well, and the funny thing is about that final game, and you're not seeing Paul Skeens either in the series, so that's
Right.
another reason. If you're seeing him, you understand that there's probably a good chance for a loss on there. But that last game, a lot of Yankee retreads going on right there. Andrew Heaney, we saw some, the Turd Ferguson was in there. So we saw a bunch of former Yankees players, and it still baffles my brain to see Andrew Heaney have success in other teams.
He was so good after he left the Yankees.
Ever since he's left the Yankees, he's been good, but he was, I honestly, like no exaggeration, one of the worst pitchers I've ever seen throw a ball in a Yankees uniform. It was egregiously bad, and I'm like, this guy has no business being in the major leagues. And then poof, he goes other teams and becomes an effective guy who can, work the count and do all the things and place the ball where he wants to. But yeah, you're right. They gotta finish that series off. But again, like you get early season stuff where offense is being inconsistent, and you run into a guy who clearly is dotting his spots. And when you're doing that against this team, you're going to have some trouble.
Since leaving the Yankees, Andrew Heaney has pitched in 392 innings and has a 3.93 ERA. With the Yankees, in 35 innings, he had a 7.32 ERA.
Yeah, it's like a decent sample size. He was really bad. He was really, really bad.
You could make talking about all-stars. You could make an all-star team of players who were terrible on the Yankees, and then the next few stops, they're actually productive major league players.
Yeah, I'm sure you could do that with a number of teams. I mean,
only happens with the Yankees, Scott.
Look at Tim Hill. He came over here and became like a lockdown closer after being released from the Chicago White Sox.
But the White Sox, like, they're the biggest dumpster fire in Major League Baseball. So
right, and he got released from that team, correct? And we're all sitting there like, "Oh, cool, Cashman, you're going and looking at the waiver wire from the White Sox and picking up guys." Like, that's where we are right now with this bullpen. It works.
Hey, every squirrel finds a nut, because every other guy Cashman picked up in the bullpen last year was trash.
Yeah.
Speaking of bullpen arms, Devin Williams. Whoo boy. So nearly blew the save on opening day. You were like, okay, let's just get the jitters out of the way. Former team, opening day, first day in Pinstripes. We got past that. Have your baby, move on, come back, ready to go. Nope. He's still trying to give everyone a heart attack, because he comes in. Yankees get insurance going into that situation in the 9th inning on Wednesday. He comes in, 4-run lead, immediately walks the first guy. And right then and there, I'm like, I'm never going to be able to trust this guy. If you, as a relief pitcher, not just a closer, Devin Williams was a high profile acquisition who was great last year to be the Yankees closer. Anybody, if you come in with a 4-run lead and you can't just pepper the zone with strikes, I immediately can't trust you, but especially if you're going to be the closer. And then he actually gets the next 2 guys out, and then allows, after he walked the leadoff guy, got the next 2 guys out, he went single, wild pitch, single, 3 runs in. Mark Leiter has to come in. Mark Leiter Jr. has to come in and bail this guy out.
And that was when I started hitting group chats. I'm like, so is there a blown save situation when you put the tying run on after coming in a non-save situation? And I do believe, yes, that is that qualifies as a blown save, because Leiter came in and got the save. So if you have a save opportunity that is then created by you, you can also create now that blown save opportunity.
That would have been a blown save
I appreciate Mark Leiter for stretching this on another day, but it's not looking good. It's not looking good with the way that this guy. I think I was there was a different. I was under a different spell, with Devin Williams, with what he was coming over. And again, hopefully this is like, him not being able to find the zone early in the season. But what gets me off of that a little bit was it the Sunday game? There was a broadcast. I forget which broadcast it was, but there was a Brewers guy on the broadcast early in the Milwaukee game.
It was opening day when ESPN was
it was opening. So there was a Milwaukee guy on there, and he made a comment that I definitely took note of, which I was like, this he made some mention of, like, this is not unusual for Devin Williams. And Brewers fans know that. And I'm like, ooh, I wasn't under the impression that he was a heart attack guy. So let's hope he's got some, some David Robertson blood, and he's got the Houdini act under control. Clearly, if he was doing that in Milwaukee and still coming out of the game unscathed and notching that save, he's got a little bit of that. But yeah, early impressions for him is I want to see the ball over the strike zone a lot more. And a lot of people are kind of comparing him to the closer version of Tommy Kahnle, which so far is true, but throwing less strikes, because Tommy Kahnle throws strikes.
That's my problem with Devin Williams so far. It was the same situation on opening day. He had, I think, a 3-run lead on opening day and a 4-run lead against Detroit, and you come in and immediately walk the first batter. You're just asking for trouble. If you can't throw strikes with a 3 or 4-run lead, I can't trust you to throw strikes with a 1-run lead. I can't trust you to throw strikes in a playoff game or against the Red Sox or against some other team you're trying to beat for the division. So yeah, it's not looking good. Also, his best pitch is his changeup. The airbender, we looked at all the advanced metrics on the changeup. We're like, this is an amazing pitch. I don't love that that's his best pitch. I feel like as a closer, your best pitch needs to be a fastball. Look at the problems we had with Dellin Betances, who could never be a closer, because probably for many reasons, but I do believe one of the main reasons Dellin Betances was never able to hack it as a closer is because his best pitch was his curveball, not his fastball.
Here's the thing with that, though. If you can locate your fastball, it's okay. It doesn't need to be popping, because Dellin Betances, looking at that example, he's throwing 99, 98, 100 miles per hour at times. But the problem is that he couldn't locate that fastball. So people would spit on it, and he would throw in big, that big curveball that he would throw in big moments when he needed to throw a strike, which was very unusual for a power arm guy. Devin Williams, with the airbender and changeup, doesn't need that massive fastball. He just needs to be able to replicate the arm slot, be able to make sure that fastball is thrown where he wants it to, so that his best pitch can be effective. It doesn't need to be shown all that often. And that's the issue, is that like when you're not throwing strikes, everything becomes magnified on the downside. And when you have a changeup as your best pitch, if you're not throwing strikes, then you can just spit on that changeup, because you could sit on that changeup and look for something that's gonna be down in the zone, a little bit off the fastball, because you're not locating your fastball. So like, that's to me the biggest issue, is the location for the fastball, not the fact that he's, I know the velocity's down a bit, but he, middle of the summer, we were looking at the numbers. He's probably around, sitting around 95, which I think is fine if you can locate it.
Yeah, and so now in the 3 innings he's pitched as a Yankee, he's allowed 9 base runners, and his ERA is 12.
Yeah, I know. Not good. Not good. Julio made a comment here, which is funny. This is, I guess, another Boone credit point here, saying that it only took Boone 13 blown saves, looking at last year, to when a closer doesn't have it, to actually make a move and to bring someone else in, so that save doesn't get blown.
Yeah, I guess so. Although I think in the same situation, he would have pulled Clay Holmes in that instance. Just maybe the Yankees bullpen didn't pick up Clay Holmes last year. But then Clay Holmes would just be out there the next game, no matter what. And they're going to give Devin Williams,
of course, they are. They brought him in, yeah.
But at this point, Weaver's had clean innings. Has Weaver allowed a run yet? No, Weaver has not allowed a run yet. And Weaver was the Yankees closer throughout the playoffs, and he was pretty damn good in the playoffs. So if Devin Williams keeps this up, even if he doesn't blow any saves, if every time you're having a heart attack out there,
it's a 1-year deal, right? Like, he's up for free agency coming up. So there's nothing saying that you got to do anything to this guy to covet him as the deemed closer. Yes, he's got the experience, and we've seen it, and it's worked. But again, like, it's April 10th, so I'm cooling my jets here a bit with what he is, and so far so good as far as no blown saves.
And just so everyone's aware now, I am now rooting for him not to blow saves, but for every single save to look like that, just so Scott ages in dog years this season.
Yeah. No, that's not good. That, again, like, it gives you back to, I mentioned this before we started recording. It reminds me of like, the last couple years of what Aroldis Chapman was as the Yankees closer. And I understand that he doesn't have that fastball, but again, it goes back to the Dylan Betances point. If you can't look at your fastball, it doesn't matter. But he was putting guys on. You can't walk people as a closer. You just can't. Like that.
That's the thing.
That needs to be out of your game. You can't walk. Closers can't walk guys. Number one rule for a closer.
And Chapman survived for years walking too many guys because he was throwing 103 miles an hour.
Yes.
This guy's throwing changeups. Okay. It's a little bit different. And
It's
last year,
everybody never in 103. Go to the opposite.
How many times did we sit there and say, why are these batters not sitting on Tommy Kahnle's changeup? Did he throw like 70 changeups in a row at some point last season?
Yeah.
Okay. But what we've seen so far this year, it looks like batters are sitting on changeup from Devin Williams. And when he throws the changeup, they just don't swing at it because it's low, it's out of the strike zone.
Yeah. And I will say this too, like early on, the changeup is probably a little harder to throw when it's cold outside too. It's, it's a little bit of a difficult spot. So let's see what happens for him. I'm just going to blame everything on cold weather because it's convenient for me to do.
Yeah.
You throw a changeup in the snow. Let's see you throw a changeup in the snow.
I'm not paid $8 million to do that.
So you locate a fastball in the snow.
I will. I'll go outside right now. It's freaking nasty out here in New Jersey. I'll go out there and locate a fast. It's going to be with a wiffle ball, but I'll locate it. My elbow will hurt for the next 3 weeks, but I'll locate it.
Yeah.
Anything else from the Pittsburgh series or the Detroit series? We should talk about Fried. I know you touched on it briefly, but Yankees did need that big start because if you look at the starting rotation overall, it's been pretty mediocre. And even Fried up until yesterday's outing hadn't been good. But Rodon's ERA, 5.19. Warren's ERA, 6. Stroman's ERA, 7.27. Cookie Carrasco gave up 3 home runs in a row, 7.71 ERA. So Max Fried needed that. The Yankees needed that start. Max Fried needed that start.
Max Fried needed that start. Again, like there was an extra little motivation, I think, having Flaherty on the other side. Again, those guys being high school teammates. Again, very cool. But he needed that start because one, the Yankees needed to end the skid, this 3-game skid that they were on. Can't get swept by the Detroit Tigers. And he did exactly what he needed to do. And that was what not only did he pitch well, but he pitched 7 innings,
right.
And that's what we need from that guy. He needs to be
the cold didn't affect him.
The number one, exactly. It needs to be that number one guy that goes deeper into games. And so he did exactly that. And he looked good. This is the guy that we expected to come over, and loved seeing it because you're right. You look outside of Max Fried and those ERAs are not pretty to look at. And his is, looks better than when you throw 7 innings and you don't let up any runs, that ERA is going to come plummeting down. But he looks good, and this is the guy that we expect. And I will make some news here. Kemp told me yesterday, Dad, I think Max Fried is my favorite pitcher on the Yankees, and it's no longer Garrett Cole. I was like,
oh, it was Garrett Cole though.
It was Garrett Cole.
Any truth to the rumor that the softening on Garrett Cole started with the point to first base last October?
Yeah, because he saw that highlight many times. Definitely. That was it. You need to take accountability for your actions. It's a big lesson for him as he's growing up, and he understands that. And Max Fried says, you know what? We've lost 3 in a row. I'm the guy that they brought over to stop. I need to do it.
How old's Kemp now? 7? Turning 8, right?
He's 7, 8 in August.
8 in August.
I got a fun question about Fried, if I could hop in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Carlos Rodon was brought in similarly to Fried, right? How long did it take him to throw 7 innings of no run ball?
I feel like this
has he ever done it?
I feel like you have the number and it was really early.
It wasn't really early.
Okay.
I don't remember him ever doing it. So
he did it once in his 5th start of 2024. So he had about he had 14 starts in 2023, and
right. Okay,
really
so it's his second season that he did.
In his second season, he did it. He's thrown 7 innings 3 times. He's thrown 7 shutout innings once.
I don't
Okay,
remember that game.
this wasn't the got me stat that I thought it was going to
It
be.
was not.
When was it? What was the situation?
So it was the 5th game of the season. They were at home playing Oakland. He went 7 innings, gave up 1 hit, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts. No runs. You'd say that's a pretty good start. And the Yankees lost 2-0.
Nice. Against the Athletics. They don't even have a city. There's no city associated with that franchise. Doesn't count.
There was.
Yeah. I was just looking through trying to find like a big start out of him. That's how this started.
Yeah.
Like, because I felt like it was a big start, and it was a close game. Like Fried was in it. Like they were winning 2-0 when he left. Like it was a close game.
Let's not put them in the same bucket of mental fortitude here, because I think Max Fried is a very different has very different chemical makeup in the brain.
I hope so.
I mean, he does. You just listen to him talk or watch his mannerisms for 5 minutes, and you can tell that this guy has, the ability to be cool and like be in the moment and not allow things to be too big. And if something goes wrong, not to overreact to something like that. So like the makeup of him, I love Max Fried's makeup. And I think that this is what we got. Like, I think that we're not going to see a drastic difference from this guy. He's going to have bad starts, but mentally, I think he's there.
The first 2 starts of the season, he was not sharp. They almost looked like extended spring training games, basically, what he was pitching. This obviously was a big start for the team and for him, and the first time he was dominant. And so, yes, that's what they signed him to be. I also love that. I would be curious if Kemp, if 2 years from now, right, Kemp is still a big Max Fried fan. I love that age, because I went through it. I'm sure you went through it too. The littlest things can just make you love a player, and then you love him for life. It's like, oh, I loved Paul O'Neill because I'm sure in 1996 I saw him kick a water cooler, and then he was my favorite player from there on out. Obviously, he was a great Yankee and a great winner. Hopefully, Max Fried is a great Yankee and a great winner. But it could just be as little as Kemp 10 years from now being like, well, there was this early terrible weather game in Detroit, and Max Fried shoved, so I loved him ever since.
There's no possible way he's going to have that context and remember that detail. Absolutely not. And I will say at this point, it's very fleeting, because he also put, when we were ranking offensive players, and he had Stanton as number 2. And I was like, what, huh?
Playoffs.
Yeah. He actually referenced that. He said that playoffs was the reason why he had Stanton up there. I was like,
smart man.
I respect it.
Judge was number 1.
Judge was number 1. Yeah.
Who was number 3?
Jazz. He likes Jazz. He likes Jazz. Jazz is he hits home runs when he does, and he likes the stats, and like, he's a fun player. I agree. I like Jazz too. I want him. I need those strikeouts to come down, because I don't want to be hard. I want to like him as a complete player. I really do.
Me too.
Because I like having him on the team. I think he brings a very different type of dynamic on the base path. I think he's a very good base runner. And like when I see him doing those little things like that, I point him out to Kemp, and to, me as a baseball fan, like, love seeing that type of thing.
How do you think he's looked in the field?
I think good. I think he's very athletic over there, and the range is going to be. He booted a ball that was, I think that was the game we were at, right?
He didn't get charged with an error. It
was an error, but But I think what we're seeing now is he also made a play early in the season that was, he ranged over towards first base hella far, and he's got the athleticism that really does close that gap between first and second. And I think that, Goldschmidt is a plus defender as well. And I think, getting balls to that right side is going to be a much tougher task this year.
Mm-hmm. Just to close the loop on some starting pitching stats, the Yankees as a team ranked 24th in Major League Baseball in starting pitcher WAR and 26th in ERA. Again, I pulled those numbers before Fried's start, or I was actually during Fried's start, so those numbers are probably slightly better, but it's really, Carrasco, I have to imagine, it seems like Clark Schmidt is going to be rejoining the team soon. See you later, Carrasco.
I think it's going to be
sent down.
Yeah, it's Will Warren. I could see Will Warren getting sent down.
But see, the thing is with Will Warren,
Carrasco's off the team if you don't, and then you lose depth.
But Carrasco sucks. Okay, Carrasco is no longer a major league caliber pitcher, I believe. Will Warren, in his first start of the season, went 5 innings. I think he gave up 2 runs and actually battled through. His start against Pittsburgh, I think he ran into trouble second time through the lineup. I think Boone also probably pushed him too far in that game. But at least I would give me some.
I know what you want to watch.
Upside. Give me some upside. Like Carrasco has no upside.
I get that, but also Carrasco, like again, I'll conveniently throw out this last start because it was cold and he's old, and that doesn't
cold.
work out well
so he
either.
gives up 3 home runs in a row.
Yeah, yes, he does.
The ball doesn't fly when it's cold. The ball dies when it's cold. But those balls went far over the fence. Swirling winds
out there. But you look at the makeup of the team. You need that veteran guy out there who's stretched out at this point with the way that the rotation is. So it just makes a lot of sense for Warren to go down because of the flexibility and the options. And Carrasco most likely wouldn't take maybe he would minor league designation, but otherwise he's out. And or they're going with the Adam Ottavino and just like putting him on the transaction wire.
Snap.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Did we ever get an answer? So the Yankees signed Adam Ottavino for, it was like $1 million.
Was it that number? I went back and looked for that number and I couldn't find that hard number.
Logan, do you know?
I heard that too, Andrew, but I couldn't find it anywhere either.
Yeah, I think it was a league minimum deal. Like, there's no way they're.
Well, league minimum's like $800,000. So
it's all prorated. So,
but I thought because he was signed to a major league deal, it was like $1 million roster bonus or something like that.
What happens is that whether it's 800,000 or $1 million, if you're signed to a major league deal and then you DFA'd, they have to pay the full contract.
Correct.
Now,
but if they're back on the team,
right, then it becomes prorated. But I believe it's prorated on top of that because it's like
that's what I'm saying. That's what I didn't understand because it was a new deal, which then I'm like, are they just doing Adam Ottavino a solid here, just paying him twice?
No, what they're doing is that the $1 million that they DFA'd him for the first time is a sunk cost, right? So the next time they bring him on the team, they only have to pay him league minimum prorated for 1 game. Whatever that value is.
But like
a lot.
Why'd you sign him to $1 million deal if you're going to DFA him 4 days later?
It's a very weird situation in the way that Ottavino came back on the team. And also like, this is a guy that got cut from, the Red Sox, I think, didn't make the opening day roster. This is a guy that he's damn near 40 years old. He's older than I thought he was for sure. I thought he was younger than that, but I didn't want him back on the team, but when he left, I was very fine with him being gone. Adding another guy that doesn't know how to throw strikes. That's not what I want in my bullpen.
I think they're going to kind of treat him like an extra pitcher, right? Because now he's DFA'd again, and next time they need somebody to fill a spot rather than call somebody up, they just have to make sure they have a spot on the 40-man, and they just sign him, and then they DFA him again.
I just realized what the $1 million is for. Him putting up with that.
Okay.
He lives in New York still. He probably was
That's
retired.
What I'm saying.
And they were probably like, get off your couch.
Gentleman's agreement. Basically,
Literally.
We're going to give you $1 million. We're going to cut you every 3 days for the next 3 months. Just go back to your apartment in Brooklyn.
He's got a warehouse.
Come back and
warehouse where that's all, cameraed up because
it's expensive to heat warehouses. He needs that $1 million.
I know. So that's where he's living. He's living in the floor of a warehouse with Rapsodo. That's what he's living on.
As bad as Carrasco, I think, is, as annoying as Rodon is, again, I will repeat, went out there in 20-degree snow with no sleeves on because he's a hardo, walked the number 8 hitter and the number 9 hitter, and then gave up a 3-run home run.
Here's what's frustrating
unacceptable for a $28 million a year pitcher.
Here's what's frustrating about him is that, you can't do this. You can't get rid of the 3-run home runs that he gives up early in the game because that's part of your stat. That's part of the score of the game. But when he does that afterwards, then he all of a sudden like settles in and looks like a guy that is worth a damn and could act like a, top 3 rotation guy. But the problem is that he gives up that big hit consistently. Like you see him make that mistake. To whether it's to a guy that should hit it out or a guy that mistake should not be happening to. He just makes that mistake, and then you see him lock in after that. This guy needs to be able to avoid that mistake and pitch around that mistake so that he can do it. But then it goes back to the mentals, mentals of a situation where you're like, does he actually have the ability to do that on a consistent basis? And so far, the answer is the hard no.
How much does it worry you guys that his fastball for the year is down 2 miles an hour from where it was last year?
I don't look at speed in April. I think it doesn't make much
Yeah,
of a
I mean, not that much. The reason being because when he throws 98 miles an hour, it's not like he's getting guys out. So,
well, yeah, I mean, I was on his I was on his baseball reference page, and he was really good the last half of last year. I mean, he had a sub-3 ERA. He was going. There was a stretch. I think it was like 8 or 9 starts in a row where all but one he went 6+ innings. Like he was really solid, especially early in the season last year. Had some bad starts, was less consistent down the stretch, but picked it back up and was pretty good. I don't know. I mean, he obviously get older. You always worry about that.
Yeah,
I'm not worried about his age at all. I think it's just him being an inconsistent pitcher, and that's what he is.
I think you're going to find velocity discrepancies early in the season because, again, small sample size, guys still ramping up arm strength and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not super concerned. If in 6 weeks from now his fastball is 2 miles an hour below average, then that's probably a bigger cause for concern. I definitely agree with you, Scott. The mentals are a problem with Rodon. It's not the stuff, it's not the talent, it's the mentals. Do you remember a start? I believe it was, I forget what season. It was in Toronto, though, and he gave up like 6 runs in the first inning. He gave up like 2 3-run home runs in the first inning, and then he settled in and ended up going 5 innings. And then after the game, Boone praised him for settling in. And I'm like, are we just giving out participation awards now? You're really going to praise a guy for, after letting the team go down 6-0 in the first inning, actually settling in? Well, of course, the other team is probably letting off the gas. They're like, we're up 6-0. We already crushed this guy. Those are different at-bat mentalities. Not quite the equivalent of giving up just a 3-run home run to the Tigers. But it's also like, okay, yeah, the pressure is when it's a 0-0 game, not when it's a 3-0 game or a 6-0 game.
That game was on June 27th of last year. He went 5 innings, gave up 10 hits and 8 earned runs. The Yankees lost 9-2, and only Andrew could get fired up about a Carlos Rodon start from a year ago.
Well, I remember that start too. I was like, when he gave up those home runs, I'm like, leave him in, and let him finish. He needs to get through however many innings. I don't care how many runs he gives up. Just leave him in.
Well, I also remember it because I could not believe, although I should have believed, Boone actually praising him settling into that game. I'm like, this is ridiculous at this point.
Yeah. My mom's watching, so hi, Mom.
I won't swear. So I mentioned Schmidt coming back. You think it's going to be Warren sent back to the minors. You're probably right, although Carrasco got no need for him. And I didn't even mention Stroman, who I know is not going anywhere because he's making $18 million, but I'm also done watching him nibble, give up way too much contact. Luis Hill is expected to start a throwing program in the next several days. He's still many, many months away. And that's all the injury news. League news. I guess Vlad Jr. is not going to be a Yankee.
Yeah, they started. I was surprised by that, to be honest. The fact that he took the deal and didn't really test free agency. I mean, you got to believe that they're all testing free agency in some capacity. Like, those conversations are happening, whether they're supposed to or not. And frankly, like, you know, Vlad could have said something along the lines of like, hey, this is the number I want. You give me the number. I'm staying here. And I appreciate that as a player who's giving the opportunity to the team that he's been on for, his career and started off with, to give them the opportunity to do that and then not test that number out on the market. I think that's, I would say admirable, but it's a lot of goddamn money. So it's not that
$1 billion.
Yeah. So, good for Vlad. He's not going to be our first baseman. So, well,
the crazy thing is, though, he signed for $500 million and probably left a good amount of money on the table.
Yeah. Well, there's something to be said about just having that deal, understanding what it is, not dealing with the stress of going to free agency, doing the dog and pony show, listening to some people, spit whatever you want to hear back at you because they need you to sign on their team. He wanted to stay there and be with Toronto, and that's what it is. And guess what? Like that, I said this before with the Toronto Blue Jays, they were kind of like an unknown for me coming into the year. They have talent. There's no doubt they have talent. They added Santander as well. So they have pop in that lineup. And they have the ability to go out there and pitch. So that's a team that very well. I mean, we're seeing them right now sit at the top. Like this is going to be a dogfight until the end. I really believe that the AL East is going to be like that all the way through. Like every single team in this division is going to be in the hunt, probably, you know, through the month of August. I truly believe that.
Yeah, it's also cool. Like, you know, Guerrero was born in Canada because his dad was with the I almost said Canadians, the Expos. The Expos. So, you know, Canadian-born player signing with the hometown team, the home country team.
Yeah.
Does he play for Team Canada or the Dominican for the WBC? No, I don't know why I think you guys would know that, but I don't know.
I don't think he plays for Team Canada.
Are you talking about Vlad?
Yeah.
Dominican.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He could play for Team Canada though, because A-Rod flip-flops.
Well, that's A-Rod.
A-Rod flip-flopped?
Yeah, that's weird.
He played for the
A-Rod
Dominican team and then the U.S. team.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's it. That's A-Rod for you.
Dominican team's like, nah, we're good. We're good.
Enough of you.
All right, that's going to wrap up today's show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Also, thank you to Game Time and Factor for sponsoring us today. We'll be back at you again next Thursday morning live on YouTube, 9 a.m. Eastern. We'll talk to you then.